Greetings, fun seekers. Welcome to the presentation we have here on the Department of Journalism at Boston University. I'm William McKean. I'm professor and department chair. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what we do in our program. And it's very simple. What we do is we tell stories. And it doesn't matter how we get these stories or how we tell these stories. We're platform agnostic. I know a lot of people, probably your friends and family, are saying, why do you want to study journalism? Isn't that a dying business? Absolutely not. Don't confuse journalism with just newspapers. Newspapers are in transition, probably away from paper. So the fact that a lot of newspaper companies are changing hands or being bought out or things like that is not the issue. If journalism itself, nonfiction storytelling, is a dying business, then we're a dying species. Because telling stories, sharing information, is just about as human as something can be. So we tell stories because they're part of our DNA. It's one of the elements that makes us into human beings. See this cave painting here. That's a news story. What it's saying is, killed some antelope today, finger paint at 11. And that's a remnant. I think as long as we have been speaking and walking upright, ever since somebody figured out that a sound could have meaning beyond the sound, we've been telling stories. So some cave person many, many centuries ago decided that the sound, let's say, would have a meaning, like, where's the remote? Where's the car keys? Something like that. Ever since we invented, or discovered, I guess, language, and then invented writing, ever since then, we've been storytellers. We'd sit around the campfire. We hope we'd be better dressed than these fellas. But we'd sit around the campfire and tell stories, what we saw today, what we did today, what varmint we ate, or whatever. Storytelling is who we are. So is journalism a dying business? The answer to that is a resounding hell no. Because people are always going to need stories. They're going to need information. And giving people that information and telling those stories is a sacred trust. It's also a lot of fun. But think about this basic human need for stories. As children, we wanted stories. We looked forward to story time. It was the highlight of the day. We not only wanted stories, we also wanted s'mores, if possible. And today, as adults in this insane world, we're living in an unbelievable, turbulent time in our history. With all of this swirling around us, we need stories. We don't just want them. If we can have the s'mores, then that's, an extra bonus. So welcome to the College of Communication. The building is dressed up a little bit since this photograph was taken. And it may not be the prettiest building in the world, but as one of my colleagues always likes to say, the building don't teach you. The faculty members do that. And we have what you need. It's just not a spectacular looking building. We can deal with that. We've been doing journalism education here for more than a century. In fact, I think we're closing in on 110 years of journalism instruction here. And every time I look back at the list of graduates, the people who have come from this program, I'm, I'm just amazed. So, let me tell you a little bit about who we are. We are a fabulous program, and it's very easy to brag about this program. We have produced 23 Pulitzer Prize winners, and when you visit our building, you'll see that up and down the hallways are examples of their work. We're very proud of that. The thing that sets us apart from other journalism programs is our faculty. This faculty is really different. I've taught at other universities, other very large programs, and there was always sort of a balance, but often more in the favor of the academic accomplishments of faculty. Here, every faculty member has a terrific professional resume. I'm not going to go through the faculty members one by one and point out where they worked or what they've done, but I'll give you a sample of news organizations, magazines, etc., where our faculty members have worked and in some cases continue to produce work. So these are some pretty good media outlets, and we kind of bring that sensibility with us into the classroom. So this is a professional degree. There are some classes that you might classify as, I don't know, theoretical, but the focus here is on producing work. When you do an assignment in class, it's not for the teacher. The assignment is we gear it toward where can this appear? You know, where can this be posted? Where can this be printed? Where can this be broadcast? Do you want to make this a podcast or whatever? So that's our focus. And most of us continue to be storytellers. We're practitioners. Here's some books that the faculty members in journalism have produced. Black Mass by Professor Lear. It was about the gangster Whitey Bulger. It was turned into a film a few years ago with Johnny Depp. Fall and Rise by Professor Zuckoff, a fantastic book about 9/11. Everybody had a notion as a book I did about the intersection of crime and rock and roll in Los Angeles in the 1960s. Dead Reckoning is a book about the Second World War by Professor Lear. Shots from the Edge is a memoir by Greg Marinovich, a Pulitzer Prize-winning photojournalist on our faculty. Professor Zuckoff did 13 Hours, which was about the raid in Benghazi. It was also turned into a film a couple years ago. Whitey, sort of a complete biography of the gangster Whitey Bulger by Professor Lear and his writing partner. Professor Carol Rivers does a lot of books that are sort of sociology, studies of relationships between men and women, and in this case, boys and girls. Mile Marker Zero is a nonfiction narrative I did about the artists, writers, and musicians in Key West in the 1970s. Covering America is a book by Professor Christopher Daly, and it's a narrative history of journalism in the United States. A few more. Birth of a Nation is Professor Lear's book about the film Birth of a Nation and how protests against it here in Boston was really sort of the birth of the modern civil rights movement. Outlaw Journalist is a biography of Hunter Thompson that I wrote some years back. Professor Rivers has another book called The New Soft War on Women. Professor Zuckoff wrote a book called Frozen in Time about a plane crash in Greenland. The Bang Bang Club is a memoir by Professor Greg Marinovich about his experiences as a combat photographer. That was also turned into a film a few years back. We continue to produce radio documentaries. The Tale of Two Teens is by Professor Walker. It's a documentary of teenagers with AIDS. So that's what we do. We bring that into the classroom. But our primary mission is to teach. And let me tell you the secret of our program, or the thing that I think is most important. Again, having taught at other universities, I sometimes get discouraged by my colleagues and their attitudes towards students. I came here primarily because I saw such a difference in the faculty. Never knew a faculty like this anywhere else. And it's because the faculty members here don't insist on that me teacher, you student vibe. It's very much a collegial relationship. This is a relationship in which you're just a younger colleague. We're the older colleague, and we're going to help you out and guide you and coach you. But it's not this, fearsome kind of separation. We're all colleagues. Once you are here in the program, you're one of our colleagues. You're a storyteller. And our goal is to help make you the best storyteller you can be. So that's kind of our overview or our philosophy. Let me go through just a couple of things about our program, the nuts and bolts. The first semester, everybody sort of walks in lockstep. The second semester is where you branch out and where you decide what it is you want to do. And we hope you don't say, I want to do this one thing. We want you to do a couple of things. As I said, we're platform agnostic. So we do a couple of things. As I said, we're platform agnostic. So we don't want to just produce you to do, broadcast journalism or long-form writing. Let's say you think you're a writer person. You are a writer of text, whether it's online or in print or whatever, doesn't matter. Well, maybe you should learn audio skills. Maybe you'll find that podcasting is another form of storytelling that you want. So this is when you specialize. And we have courses in narrative journalism, courses in sports reporting. We have a course in trauma journalism. And then your last semester, you're finishing up with your internship and your professional project, and maybe some of those electives that are only offered in the fall semester that you couldn't take your first semester because, you have the kind of set schedule. So there's a lot of freedom in this program, and it's going to require you getting to know your journalism faculty advisor quite well. In fact, we prefer the term mentor. Find a person who does kind of the thing you want to do and talk to that person. You don't have to talk so much about course selection, but sort of things related to building a career and a life in journalism. One thing that most all the students are going to contribute to is the Boston University News Service, and there's the web news service, and there's the web address. This is so that everybody in the program gets work posted that can be in your portfolio for when you graduate, to show prospective employers what you're capable of doing. Of course, Boston is a great media market, so you're going to have lots of opportunities with all these venues around town, the television stations, the cable news network, the Boston Globe, of course, the Boston Herald. We have a great relationship with Boston Magazine. But the Boston University News Service is that constant. And there are a couple of other things that we'd like you to know about. One is our Power of Narrative conference. And there's the web address for it. The Power of Narrative conference is really one of our great showcases. And you're invited to take part in that. We have also in recent years had a sports conference. We call it Play It Forward. It generally deals with the intersection of sports and society, or sports technology, the race in sports, gender in sports. It's usually sports in a social context. We haven't been able to do that the last couple of years, but during your time here as a student, I think we will be reviving that. So these conferences are great opportunities for you. Then, on top of everything else, I'd like to point out that Boston is our newsroom. We exploit the city. We exploit the fact that we're here. It's kind of the Goldilocks of cities. It's not too large, it's not too small. It's just right. And what better place to learn to be a journalist than Boston? Boston is where American journalism began in 1690. So many great things have happened here, and it's a fabulous city to cover. It's a great news town. And so this is going to make for a great portfolio that you'll have, again, to present to prospective employers when you're done. It's a great American city. Okay, I'm afraid that's me. And there's my email address. You can always find this online. I'd like to also introduce you to Susan Walker, who is our graduate director. She puts together an amazing class of students each fall that join our program. And so I hope that you were pleased when you got the invitation. It means you passed the audition, and we have Professor Walker to thank for that. So that's our open house presentation, and we'll be speaking to you and answering your questions, and we are here for you if ever you need anything. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.